What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg Wave. I'm going to do for you guys today 10 tips for our newer drivers. I wanted to do this video because new driving is just really intimidating. I remember when I first started, it was like I just had so many questions. I was scared. Like I really was. I never had done a driving job. I didn't have a lot of driving experience in general. I mean, I've got my license at 16 like most people, but I didn't been on the roads at an excessive rate like you are as an Uber or Lyft driver. So it was just a scary thing for me. I was 21, so I was barely even able to do Uber and Lyft. And, it can just be a little intimidating. So I wanted to give you guys a bunch of tips and ideas and things that are just going to make it a lot smoother process. And the very first thing I'm going to say is give it a few weeks at least. If you base whether you stay on for just a few days, you're gonna quit more than likely. The reason I say that too is so when I started, the second ride I ever gave, and it was really the first ride I ever gave, because the first ride I gave was half a mile away. So the first longer ride, I was taking a ride 25 minutes away. It's this really drunk girl, to be honest, to this day, the drunkest person I've ever given a ride to. And she fell asleep in the back seat, woke up, started cussing me out. And again, second ride, I was terrified. It's a 30-minute drive, and I'm sitting here driving like super stiff and just thinking she's gonna hit me at any second. And it was a really disaster experience, and I wanted to quit that night, and I'm so glad I haven't. I'm so glad I didn't quit that night. So first thing I'm going to say, guys, is give it more than a few days. Try to give it at least a week. I would say 2 to 3 weeks and a month would be ideal of, doing 30 hours a week, just so you get a really good idea, because the more comfortable you get with it, the less and less all these things just kind of go away. And eventually you do this and it's just it's second nature, right? But the very first major tip I wanted to give you guys is driving at the right times is really key. The biggest discouraging thing is if you go out there and don't make money. I mean, that is the most discouraging thing on Uber and Lyft. I hate days where I'm behind pace. To be honest, now I usually just end up going home if I am, because I get frustrated with it and I just don't even want to be out there. So real quickly, in general, the best times to drive. So Monday through Thursday, you want to do 4 to 8 a.m. for that morning work rush. Now that's a little bit crazier, obviously, because no one's wanting to really be waking up at 3:30 to go work. But I did a schedule for a while where I would work 4 to 8 a.m. or 4 to 7 a.m. And then I would take from 7 or 8 off until about 2 p.m. And during that time, I would nap, I would go to the gym, cook, clean, do other errands, whatever I needed to do. And then I would go work from 3 p.m. till 6 to 8 p.m. I left it a little bit flexible on those final 2 hours based on if it was slow or not. And I would get that work rush. And it was a pretty good schedule for me. I mean, 7 or 8 hours, and I was on average making close to $200 a day, which for me, being a single guy, was a super awesome income to have, so I liked it. I did get really burned out after it for a while. So some other options you can do is you can work 6 a.m. till 4. That's when I know that people do a lot. And those hours during the middle of the day are a little bit slower, but you can figure it out. I've gotten really good at working those hours and still making about 20 an hour. And I'm going to tell you guys, the first thing is, if you do work those dead hours, if you live far away from the airport, 20 minutes or more, the first thing you should do if you're going to work from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is set a destination trip to the airport, because you'll take a ride to the airport and probably make $20 to $30. And then you'll get a ride from the airport pretty quickly if you drop off. I think that might be based on your rewards level for Uber, so don't quote me on that. But I know with Lyft, at least, every time you drop off at the airport, for the most part, it seems like you get a ride out of there, if you're in a busy enough city. So I like doing that during those slower times, because for 2 of those hours, I usually make 30 an hour, because I usually make $30 on one airport ride, and then a lot of times 30 off the next one. I live in Phoenix, so we give a lot of long rides because the city's really spaced out. So it's not gonna be for everyone, but it's a good way to guarantee that you're gonna start off the slower hours with at least 20 an hour, right? And then from there, you know, you just got to make it work and you just got to hustle, but it's very, very doable to work those hours is what I'm saying. It's just not the most ideal. So Monday through Thursday, the main things you want to remember, 4 to 8 a.m., 3 to 7 p.m. The filler hours are possible. I don't recommend it. I have worked Monday through Thursday night shift. To be honest, it's not the worst. If you're a night owl and you like working nights, like, you're gonna have a great time because you're out there, there's no traffic, there still are rides, not that many, but how many drivers do you think are out there? Not that many. I a lot of times will pull up my Uber Rider app at night and I'll see how many drivers are around me, and it's usually like me and like 2 other drivers, which is like really, really good. During the day, I'll pull it up and there's like 7 drivers in any given area. So I really didn't mind the night shift. I just couldn't physically do it. Like, I'm way too used to falling asleep at like 10 p.m. So I couldn't stick it out, but I did it for a few weeks and I really liked it. So night shift's not bad. If it's for you, give it a shot. But the main thing is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Obviously the weekend is your killer day. So Fridays, like, what I usually do is I'll work 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Really long shift, but what I used to do is I would work either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I would do 12 hours all 3 days. So I'd get close to 40 hours, which it's like what a nurse's schedule is. And I would be working the best time, so I'd make good money. So a lot of times I'd be working 3 days a week, pulling in 800 or more in a week. So I really recommend doing that weekend shift. If you can bust out 3 12s in a row, I feel like it's the most like lucrative way of driving for Uber and Lyft. But even I can't do that anymore. I pretty much work Monday through Thursday, just the 6 hours a day. So, but moving on, next tip I have is driving part-time. Driving full-time, especially if you're going to do it for a long time, is going to destroy your vehicle. I really don't recommend it unless you've really figured out the maintenance and how to really, or like a good car buying program where you're not getting hosed. But if you're buying cars at a dealership and then cranking out 80,000 miles on them in a year, you're going to freaking destroy your car. So I recommend doing it part-time and having a good, side hustle to also support yourself. For me, it's owning and running my own online business. But for a while, I had commission-only sales jobs where I was doing sales out of my car while I was giving Uber rides. And it was an awesome thing. I loved it at the time. So I recommend just doing part-time and finding an additional way to supplement your income, because full-time is going to end up hurting you a lot more a few years down the road. But the next tip I have is just be social. When I first started, I remember being really nervous about engaging with people. I wouldn't say I was antisocial, but I'm an ambivert for sure. I like talking to people, but I really like my alone time too. And so when I was first starting, I was still probably more of an introvert, than an ambivert. And so I was, giving rides and trying to be conversive, but not probably being the best at it. But I slowly got more and more comfortable. And the main thing is you just start to realize that if you just treat these people like your friends and talk to them like your friends, it's easy to have conversation, and they're going to throw you good tips with that. And then just obviously, there's going to be some people that don't want to talk. So you got to gauge that out. But the easiest way to be a successful rideshare driver is being really friendly, personable, and social. People will love that. Let's see. The next one I would say is researching your market. This is really important because there's videos and stuff all over the internet about your city and how to drive. Articles, YouTubes. There's going to be something about Uber and Lyft driving in your area. So do some research. My times are pretty general, that's what would be the safe bet in most cities. But in a lot of cities, these things might vary. So it's really important that you do your research on your market and figure out as much as you can about the area. Most of it, you're going to just learn on your own. That's the honest truth. But find out as much as you can early on. Even just researching how your airport pickups work could be really helpful for you starting out. So look into all the things you have questions about it, and then you'll be good from there. But let's see. And the next thing I have is utilizing apps. I have a video on some of the best apps for rideshare drivers, but a lot of them, like GetUpside Gas, are just really going to help you save a lot of money. So I would recommend like some to look into. Like I said, GetUpside Gas, I think is actually what it's called. It's only in select markets, but if you can get it, it's going to save you a lot of money. Obviously, you want to look into something like Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music. You know, that's pretty much a necessity as well. But some other ones that I think are good is if you are like in the California market, there's a lot of things like Play Octopus and Cargo Box that will make you a lot of extra money. So look into those, but there will be links at the bottom of this video so you can check out all of them. Let's see. The next thing I would say is have fun. Relax. The biggest thing you're going to do to yourself is overthinking. And if you just overthink and you're constantly worried about what people are thinking about you as a driver, it's going to make you a worse driver. Have fun. Just have fun. I a lot of times space out and I'll drive too fast and the passenger will be like, oh my God, you're going fast, dude. And I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, man. Just, zoned out. I'll make like a really dumb joke about it, or I'll just kind of laugh it off and I just keep the conversation going, because it's going to happen. You're going to do things at times people won't like. There's so many different people in the world, so many different rides you're going to give. You're going to give rides to some just jerks. You're going to give rides to a lot of like the most incredible people you've met in your life, celebrities. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So the best thing you can do is, rather than just stressing yourself out, trying to figure out each person, just be you, be really organic, have a lot of fun with this, try and have fun with them, and everything will go a lot smoother, and you'll start to see how you've overthought things from the beginning of the process. One thing I recommend too, this would be my next tip. This isn't going to be possible for everyone, but if you do have a friend that's in a similar financial state, talk to them about doing Uber and Lyft with you. And even better, sign up first and send them your referral codes and be like, hey, we can both make money if we drive together and you hit these bonuses. And one of the biggest privileges for me with Uber and Lyft is my best friend for like the last 6 years. Him and I he started Uber and Lyft about a year after me, but for the last 2.5, 3 years, him and I have been, most nights that we do go driving, we're both out there. And what's awesome is we call each other between rides and we're telling, stories about the rides we gave. And then a lot of times we'll go meet up for, dinner if it's a Friday or Saturday night. We'll wait until it slows down a little bit at like, 8 or 9 p.m. We'll go grab a bite to eat. And then we'll, go back out there until the bar rush. And then a lot of times, we'll come home and, we'll hang out, at one of our apartments, and it's just fun. It makes it like actually a much more tolerable and doable process, having a buddy, or a girlfriend or somebody out there to do it with you. Let's see. The next thing I would say is find something productive to do on downtime. If you do have time waiting for rides, doing something really productive is really important. I've had a lot of days where I had a lot of downtime and I just didn't do anything. I played phone games or just, browsed through Instagram the whole time. And so what happens is at the end of the day, I feel like I accomplished nothing, because not only did I make, not good money that day on Uber and Lyft, I was just sitting in here playing phone games, So bring a book with you. I know a driver that had HBO on his phone, and he would go to the airport lot for every single ride. And then he would sit. He didn't care if he had to wait 40 minutes or an hour. He would sit and he would watch Game of Thrones while waiting for his next ride. Even that, like, even if you're just doing something you really enjoy. But I recommend get a book, read a book while you're in here. My big thing is I love watching YouTube videos. Like, I really love watching TED Talks. I love watching like really informative stuff, spiritual things, about your religion. Like, there's so many things you can learn about and give yourself kind of like a small education while you're in here. It's just, again, it comes back to the concept of, if you're going to be out here, maximize every minute, do everything you can. Don't just like try and do everything, half as well as you could, I guess. Let's see. Oh, the next thing, well, final two things, but get a car wash membership. You're going to have some dirty, stinky freaking people get in your car. Get a car wash membership. Trust me. Mine is $15 a month. The last one I had was $30 a month. I've seen a lot of them for the $15 to $20 a month range. That is a no-brainer, because you can do it every day before you go work. It really is something you should get, because if your car is constantly clean and smelling good, people are going to love you and they're going to rate you higher and they're going to tip you, because believe it or not, most Ubers really aren't. I take a lot of rides too because I travel a good deal, and I get picked up by so many drivers where there's trash in the back seat that I'm sitting in, chip bags and freaking, I've never had anything like, like a half-eaten Big Mac or something like that, but I've heard stories from people that I've given rides to that have told me, oh, your car's so clean. You wouldn't believe this driver we had the other day. The car reeked of cigarettes. He had chips on the floor. Like, people are dirty. So stand out, be above the others, and have a nice, sharp car. People are going to tip you. They're going to take care of you. And my final tip, guys, is drive safe. Again, sounds like a no-brainer, but the more you do this, the easier it becomes to zone out, and you won't realize you're speeding. You won't realize you're doing whatever. So be really conscious of how you're driving. There's a lot of apps and programs you can set up that will alarm you if you're going over the speed limit or whatever else. If that's you, look into those things. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I want you guys to get as much out of this experience of driving for Uber and Lyft as you can. Let me know if you have any questions, and you guys have a good rest of your day.